Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining this session. Today, I'll be presenting on a topic that addresses a growing challenge in physical education and broader educational discourse: how we understand and apply the concepts of innovation, reformation, transformation, and revolution, which I'll refer to collectively as IRTR. In the rapidly evolving field of education, especially with technological integration and curriculum shifts, these terms are frequently used, often interchangeably. However, a lack of conceptual clarity can lead to miscommunication, ineffective practices, and misaligned reforms. This presentation will explore how we developed a survey to assess awareness, comprehension, and misconceptions about these terms among physical education professionals, and why this work is timely and necessary. The starting point of this study lies in the observation that terms like innovation, reformation, transformation, and revolution are increasingly used in educational policy, academic writing, professional development, and even marketing materials. In physical education, where curriculum design, instructional strategies, and the integration of technology are evolving, these terms are used to describe change. Yet, educators and practitioners often lack a shared understanding of what these terms mean in practice. Research by Wyant and Beck and Pill has shown that technological advancement and shifting educational paradigms contribute to confusion about these terms. The consequence is that educators might call something a revolution when it's merely an innovation, or worse, avoid using certain practices because they misinterpret what is required by transformation. So, the motivation here is to create conceptual clarity and provide tools to measure and improve understanding. To address these ambiguities, we began by clearly defining each of the four IRTR concepts. These definitions were crafted based on both theoretical literature and practical application. Innovation is the most specific and incremental of the four. It refers to introducing a new idea, method, or product that enhances current practices, without changing the entire system. Think of integrating fitness tracking wearables in PE classes. Reformation involves more structured and deliberate efforts to improve what already exists. This could involve overhauling a curriculum while retaining its foundational philosophy, like moving from a sport-based model to a fitness-focused one, but within the same pedagogical framework. Transformation represents a deeper, more systemic shift that often reshapes the entire educational experience. For example, moving from teacher-centered instruction to student-led inquiry represents transformation. Revolution is radical and disruptive. It completely replaces the existing structure. It could involve dismantling the traditional school model in favor of entirely new educational systems. Recognizing these distinctions is essential if we are to communicate and apply them effectively in physical education. With these definitions in place, our main research goal became the development of a valid and reliable survey instrument, what we call the IRTR PE survey. This survey is intended to measure four key areas. 1. Awareness. Are educators even familiar with the concepts of innovation, reformation, transformation, and revolution? 2. Understanding. Can they accurately describe and apply these concepts in educational settings? 3. Misconceptions. Are there frequent errors in how these terms are interpreted or used? 4. Variation. How do comprehension levels differ across demographic and professional characteristics? This is not just about academic knowledge, it's about real-world implications for how teachers implement change in their classrooms and how they respond to new policies or technologies labeled with these terms. The IRTR PE instrument is made up of 24 items, with 6 items per IRTR concept. Each item presents a brief, context-based scenario, and participants are asked to select the term, innovation, reformation, transformation, or revolution, that best fits. For example, one scenario might be, a PE teacher introduces wearable technology that provides students with real-time feedback on heart rate and movement patterns. The correct answer here would be innovation, as the teacher is enhancing the existing program with new tools, not fundamentally changing the system. Each correct answer earns a point. This allows us to score participants on their overall understanding, as well as their grasp of individual IRTA concepts. The total possible score is 0 to 24. We believe that the application-based format, using real PE classroom scenarios, makes the assessment relevant, meaningful, and a potential learning tool in itself. We built our survey and methodology on insights from prominent sociological research. Let me briefly highlight 3 foundational studies. Stancheva emphasizes the importance of identifying conceptual variation across demographic groups. Her work shows how well-designed surveys can uncover hidden patterns in understanding. Sadler and Sonnert studied misconceptions in science education. They found that even well-educated teachers may unknowingly carry and propagate incorrect ideas. That insight is highly relevant here. PE teachers may be using IRTA language incorrectly, impacting how students understand change and progress. Understanding IRTA concepts is not purely academic, it's shaped by various personal and contextual factors. We identified 6 key influencers through our literature review and field observations. 1. Educational background. Those with degrees in political science, theology, or technology may associate these terms with different meanings. A technologist might think of innovation as an app, while a historian views revolution through the lens of political upheaval. 2. Cultural and societal context. Cultural values influence how people perceive change. Some cultures prioritize stability and incremental improvement, while others valorize bold transformation. 3. Personal experience. A teacher who lived through an educational reform or societal revolution might interpret these concepts more viscerally and differently than someone who hasn't. 4. Disciplinary lens. Each academic field uses IRTA terms differently. What counts as a transformation in education may seem like only a reformation in public policy. 5. Language and semantics. Non-native English speakers or those with different linguistic frameworks may conflate or confuse these terms. 6. Media and public discourse. Popular phrases like Green Revolution or digital transformation shape public understanding and often blur distinctions between these terms. Understanding how these factors influence interpretation helps explain why misconceptions are so common. Based on these influencing factors, we anticipate several patterns in our data. First, we expect that many participants will show overlapping or mixed use of the terms. They might correctly define innovation but incorrectly label a transformation as a revolution. Second, we hypothesize that certain groups, like pre-service teachers or individuals from cultures with different change paradigms, may exhibit different patterns of misunderstanding. Third, demographic variables such as gender, education level, ethnicity, and professional experience will likely predict differences in awareness and understanding. We're not only testing knowledge, we're investigating how different life contexts shape how educators perceive and apply change-related concepts. Our methodology involves several key steps to ensure the survey is robust and meaningful. Content validity. We consulted with subject matter experts to ensure each item accurately represents one of the IRTA categories. Test-retest reliability. We will assess whether responses remain consistent over time, indicating stable understanding. Internal consistency. We'll examine item responses within each category to confirm that they measure the same underlying construct. For statistical analysis, we'll use independent t-test to compare two groups, ANOVAs for multi-group comparisons, and multiple regression to identify the strongest predictors of conceptual understanding. This multi-method approach allows for both depth and breadth in examining how well IRTA is understood. Finally, why does this matter? First, clear understanding of IRTA concepts among PE educators can lead to more strategic and effective changes in curriculum and instruction. Second, by identifying misconceptions, we can improve professional development and prepare educators to engage more critically with policy and innovation. Third, reducing rhetorical misuse of these terms helps align expectations among educators, policymakers, and even students. And lastly, by contextualizing IRTA concepts within demographic and cultural frameworks, we can make educational change efforts more inclusive, responsive, and successful. In summary, this research aims not just to assess knowledge, but to empower educators to understand and lead meaningful change.